Welcome back to Digesting Black History 365 podcast, and I'm your host Marvin Glenn, and I'm so thankful that you guys have come back because once again you can be doing anything on a Sunday afternoon. So I just want to thank you guys for coming out, and please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast because what we're trying to do is enlighten and encourage Black history because with that you're going to be able to be in front of your family, your friends, on the porch, backyard, speaking about Black history all over again. Well, I just have to tell you, I am enlightened to have, once again, because I had them on my broadcast last year, and it was so enlightening to have a son and a mother entrepreneurs, with Keychain Carnival. I want to introduce to some who may have heard their names before, but you will get a chance to see them and hear them live in their living color. I have Mr. Keontae Dabney. He's the CEO of Keychain Carnival, as well as his mom. Her name is Sawana Davis, and she's the CEO of Keychain Carnival. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Nice having us.
Yes. I just want to first start off with a little backstory of how you guys got Keychain Carnival started. So, who want to start?
I'll start. I would say Keychain Carnival started as I was an instructor at St. Louis Job Corps, and I was a math teacher. Mm-hmm. And giving students the age of 16 to 58 years old worksheets, putting them on the computer, that become to be boring to me. And I said something had to give because this was not my area of boredomness, and I'm a creative person. So I decided to come up with a project that would engage them with math and art. So I came up with a project of making keychains with hair beads, strings, and rings. And as they made the keychains, I'm sitting at my desk and my keychain was Cat in the Hat. And God spoke to me. He said, do math from your keychains. Okay. I was obedient. I did math from that one keychain, came up with 5 math concepts in one design. So I administered that to my students, and they were able to connect the differences with regular math and art and combining them to be focused, concentrated, participated more in class, and was able to take those skills and apply them to the computer, apply them to the worksheet. So that was one of the things I did to integrate math with art because I was losing the attention of the students and they was getting bored. I was getting bored as an instructor. So that's how Keychain Carnival got started with my class project. And my son Keontae at the age of 6 saw all these keychains and say, hey, I want to make keychains. It's not just keychains, it's math related. So how you do math, Mom, with some art and some keychains? So I showed him and he was like, okay. But then he was like, I still want a kit. I was like, we can buy you a kit. Went to Walmart, bought this kit. And he said, well, can you buy me? I want this Toy Story. I want these cars. I want this. I said, how about you sell these keychains and make you some money? And then you have your own money, buy whatever you want. So me, my mom, and Keontae made keychains. We were sitting up 2, 3 o'clock at night. Not him, but us as an adults making keychains. So his whole first weekend was the Kwanzaa and breakfast at his mentor organization. He made over $250 in just 2 days selling keychains.
Wow. Keontae, give me your first experience when you saw the money come and the entrepreneurial mindset at a young age. Could you give me and my listening audience some of your mindset?
Well, my mindset was to go ahead and buy the Nintendo 2DS off rip. That was the first thing I wanted to do because growing up, I didn't have game systems. My mom refused to buy me a game system. Like every time, I'm like, at least give me an Xbox 360, something. I was like, I'm behind the curve. I'm like, I want to play games with the rest of everybody else. I'm like, the only time I got to really play games was going up to the library like every teen night to play like video games with them. And I was like with a VTech. I'm like, I can't play WWE and Skate 3 on this. I'm like, that was my first idea. I was like, I was like, I'm getting my 2DS. I'm like, I'm getting it. I said I wanted it, and I was like, I went to Walmart. I started looking at the price. I started writing it down in my book. I said, all right, it's $200. This I'm gonna have to with it with tax along with the game. I said, all right, I'm getting this. So
Right.
after that, when I started to realize like all the money was starting to flow in, it was like a lot. Cause I'm like a little kid. I was like, more than $200 was a lot. And I was like, well, I can buy me a lot of Hot Wheels, but I didn't know how long I was gonna be doing. I think the only reason I was doing it was because of the money. Because I was like, I get my own money, I get to buy whatever I want, and then I don't gotta keep asking my mom. Cause I was like, if I just get what I want, then I'm like, she ain't gotta worry about me asking her. And then eventually it went down the line of her like saying, well, why don't you make it a business? I'm like, hey, look, I'm just doing this just so I could get what I want. I'm like, you kind of throwing me in the deep end here, just like swimming business. And I didn't know what I was doing. So it kind of just got to the point where I was like, you know what? I wasn't that type of kid that kind of like gave up on everything. Like I got any challenge that's produced towards me, I'll give it a try. If I don't get it off rip, then I'll try it again later. But that was just something. And then she was like doing it with her students, and they was trying to be creative, come up with like the brand name and the banner and all of that. And I'm sitting here just like, is it really all of this? I'm like, all we doing is just making some keychains and selling them. I'm like, is it really this much?
Yeah, but you gotta think about it. Like I remember when I first started doing photography, and I just kept it as passion. But when it turned into a business, I had to start thinking about how I'm saving money to get more equipment and more film and different things like that. So I know that in the grand scheme of things, mom was trying to steer you away from just spending money frivolously. But knowing that you got that opportunity to see how you make the money, because you're very, very personal when you speak with people. I've noticed that in a lot of your videos. So then, you get them that, you bring them in, you reel them in. So now you get to the point how you start marketing, how you start embracing the whole thing about, okay, what do we need extra to make Keychain Carnival a success?
Right.
So I'm going to go to my first question. And this is a two-parter for both of you all. What Black history ancestors motivated you both in becoming entrepreneurs?
For me, I would say it was Madam C.J. Walker. I watched her documentary, and it inspired me to see what she did, how she did it, the discipline and the determination to make it happen and work. Her successes and her failures, but her failures made her stronger and made her push forward for her to be that millionaire in her entrepreneur journey. So if she can do it, I can do it. And my motto is impossible simply means I'm possible. Entrepreneur, that's me, and that's who I am.
I like that. I like that a whole lot. Yeah. Okay. Now, from your standpoint, and then and we have to say, Madam C.J. Walker is before me and your mother, but then at the same time, we before you. So our mindset's a little bit different. So who was that ancestor for you?
I mean, wow. I'm like, cause there's a lot of people that like really caught my eye. I could never like stay fixated on one person because everybody did their own thing. Everybody brought their own stuff to the table. And I was like, man, everybody started saying I look like a young Malcolm. And I was like, you know what? Malcolm X ain't all that bad. I kind of just like respected like what he did. It was just like his passion for what he wanted to do, what was right. And he was just like, I'm going to do this because I feel that it's right. And it wasn't just because he was like, oh yeah, well, it's not like I'm just doing this because of like pure hate. I'm like doing this because I got to protect everybody that I care about. And like everybody that's just like me. And the Malcolm X and Martin Luther King type deal where it was like doing with positivity. And then you just got Malcolm X. It's just like, we fighting positivity a little bit too long. Let's go ahead and light a car on fire, just so we can get our point across. And I never really like fully grasped my mind around that type of stuff, but I kind of realized I was like, if they doing something just so they can get their point across, just so they can truly say that like this is what we mean. And like, we're doing this because we deserve certain things or whatever the case may be. And it's just like, if you're not going to listen by words, then we're just going to have to show you action. And actions do speak louder than words. So I just, even though as much as I talk, I had to sit down, stop talking and put in work. It's kind of how it had to be.
So like, but still asking the question, is it anybody out here right now that motivates you to say, I'm going to that next level? Because I see what I've seen. I've seen all your apparel. I've seen your art. I've seen you speaking and even rapping in public. And all of it has been great. So my thing is this: who motivates Keontae to go through that whole chasm of trying to say, hey, you know what? If I look back 5 years from now, I said this person was more instrumental than that person. So is it, let's name one person that you think, that's off the top of your head, that is a motivating force in your life at your young life.
Man, you got me stumped with this because it's a lot of people that inspires me. It's a lot of motivation that I get from a lot of people.
Name one.
Man, one. I'd probably, you know what? I'd probably say, oh man, I'd probably say New Japan Pro Wrestler, the King Switchblade Jay White.
Wow. Now, who is that?
So so I'm a big fan of wrestling. So as a little kid, since we didn't really have cable, like I ended up coming across like ROH, which is Ring of Honor. I used to see it on like Channel 30 on a Sunday, and I'm like, wait a minute, when did wrestling come on TV? And I didn't know. And I used to sit there and watch. I was like, bro, this is awesome. And I used to sit there. I was like, you know what? I like this guy's energy. I like what he's putting out because everybody knows that people in WWE, they have characters, gimmicks. So they tell the story of the character that they're playing. So it could technically actually be how they really are in real life, and they're just portraying it on TV, or they just have like said character and they're just acting out that character ways. And this guy, Jay White, is just something else because he's the type of guy that literally knows what he wants. He gets what he wants by just working. Like is not like, he cheat his way to the top of where it gets to be. He literally puts in the groundwork to be the top guy. And whether it's like, I gotta do this or I gotta perform this and I gotta make sure I know what I'm doing in order for my other people that I'm working with to not get hurt or whatever the case may be. It's like he knows what he knows exactly what he wants to do. And he performs it the way that he wants to do it. And it's like the way this man speaks is like, I'm like, hold on, this man nasty. Hold on. I'm like, ain't no way. And I just sit there and I remember I used to just be like, I want to do that. I just want to sit there and just like really give off this energy where it's like, I'm going to do what I'm saying I'm going to do and I'm going to do it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
And that's why like the whole rapping thing, like, I only rap for fun. Like when I was at my job, me and my homeboy used to just freestyle at work just for the fun of it. Because it was boring. It was lifeguards. It was really nobody in the pool. So we just turned the instrumental on and just start freestyling just for the fun of it. And then like the fact that it was just like a major coincidence because when I went to my church, Faith Church, and I was like, you know what? I want to rap on stage at Faith Church. And I did like a goofy little rap battle for like superheroes. And that was kind of like the first bit of like being on stage and rapping in front of a bunch of people I didn't know.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, And then next thing you know, my birthday comes around and it's when a Rev night is happening. Also, it's Rev's Got Talent, and the fact that I'm rapping on my birthday at the church that I said I was gonna rap at. And I was like, man, there ain't no coincidence. I'm like, this was plotted. This whole thing was planned.
He lined it up for you.
And see, that's what I really enjoy about you, because there's so many things that come from you that when I say motivation, I was like, man, who really, really motivates you? Now that you told me about this wrestler, and, because I can go back to like Rocky Johnson. Rocky Johnson is The Rock's father.
Indeed.
And then you talk about wrestling at the Chase back in the day.
Oh, yes.
So that's what we grew up on. But the thing about it is you think about it as a photographer. When I first went out there, I was nervous. And I'm talking about going down to the Black Expo and getting that opportunity to ask Tom Bailey, give him a shout out, Tom Bailey, just to say, hey, you know what, can I come down and take pictures? And he was just so complimentary to me. I was like, wow. Because when I went out there, my camera was off, I had the wrong aperture, the f-stop was off, all that.
Man, I know that feeling.
So when I actually went through the whole process and then got the pictures back, this is the thing. You got to get somebody that's making you stand in that mirror and say, you know what, I'm going to go down here, man, and I'm going to talk to people. I ain't going to be nervous no more. I'm going to be cool. I'm going to have on something fly.
Right.
So you think about different ways of motivating yourself. You can be the CEO of Keychain Karnival, but you can turn around and have a mindset like the wrestler.
Right.
Then maybe the way you design clothes and stuff like that, then you have that because now you become what you are at 3 levels: how you sound, how you look, and how you create.
Right.
Yeah. So let me go to the second question because I'm gonna let a lot of it flow because I want y'all to be organic. Give me the growth pattern within Keychain Karnival's successes and failures. And that can come from both of you all.
I'll let you go first.
Successes and failures. Well, I mean, what you expect from every business is gonna have a roller coaster ride of like mad successes and then a lot of mad failures. So it's nothing short of just us experiencing that. And I know as a little kid for me, when it was just like people be like, oh, I'll be back or whatever the case may be, and they don't come back to the table. That used to like bum me out a little bit. I'm like, bro, they said they was gonna come back and they was supposed to get something. They never came back. So that's kind of where I immediately like started to like feel like that was part of failure because I feel like I couldn't seal the deal like with every person. But then I had to realize that not every person is gonna buy something from you. So that was one of the hard truths. And then it got to the point where it was just me, her, and my grandma, and eventually we all got burned out from doing it, like doing keychains, because we was like, okay, we got all these keychains and we need to sell them all. Then when we start running low, we got to go back and remake them all over again. And me and my grandma was sitting in the kitchen, like sitting here watching Hawaii Five-0 or Blue Bloods while making keychains. And it got to the point where like, I really was just like, man, I was like, are we really finna go this far with this? I'm like, we've been doing this for like a good couple of years. I was like, when are we gonna stop? Like, and then it got to dropping beads on the floor, and then we gotta pick the beads up, and that was a failure to me because I was like, dear God, it's so me. I mean, still, like I'm down in the basement, I'll be finding beads that we dropped like 7 years ago, and I'm like, what, you were here? So and then it just got to the point of just like when we tried to do events up here. And we'll pull out like an invitation, and we'll be telling people and we'll be promoting or whatever the case may be. And then we'll come up here on time. Nobody would be here. Nobody signs up, none of that. And it got to the point where I just kind of like, and even though my mom kept a positive attitude, like I kind of already knew it was hurting her on the inside because I was like, okay, it's the first time now no people showed up. I'm like, okay, it's the first time. Then it was the second, and it was the third time, and I said, all right, bro. I said, this is ridiculous. I was like, there ain't no way that my mom is spending most of this time trying to get everything prepped, and then we're promoting and all of this, and nobody shows up, not one single person.
Okay.
And then it even gotten to the points where we'll have like days where we'll come up here and we need people to come up here and help us make kits. There was a time when mom's like cooked a whole bunch of food. Nobody showed up. So all that time that she wasted cooking the food, we couldn't do nothing with it besides take it back home. Like,
so let me cut right through and go right to the successes, because you know when you think about failures, it's about something that's integral. So what brought that about? Because I know you went to sleep with those thoughts, but tell me, as a young man going through what life is giving you, because there's so many different ways of making money, especially if you look at it online, if you're talking about in person, whatever the case might be. What was some of the moments where you feel like you had the intestinal fortitude to rise up to the occasion?
I just had to keep working. I mean, that was pretty much the only main goal, was to keep working. I mean, get down 99, you get knocked down 99 times, you get up that 100 times. You don't stay on the ground. Like, okay, you trip and fall, you stumble somewhere, that don't mean you don't get up. You jump the fence and you get caught, and then jump higher. You got bit by the dog, make sure the dog don't bite you the next time. I don't know what to tell you. It's just, I kind of just told myself, I was like, this sucks, but we gonna figure it out. That's kind of been like our whole, like, that's how our whole family act. It's just like, if something don't work, we're just like, we'll figure it out. And then when we figure it out, we figure it out. And we just keep working with that. So I never really, like, it sucked holding on to it. But then eventually I was like, I can't hold on to this. I was like, we got more work to do up in the kitchen. I was like, I'll be fine. I was like, this ain't nothing but a little bump in the road. So we'll be straight.
So let me ask you this too, and then I'm gonna turn it over to your mom. How do you go through the whole process of dealing with that mindset and dealing with your peers? Because I know you deal with peer pressure, but how do you deal with that and knowing that you're going to be successful? You telling yourself that. God is blessing you to be that way, but you having an understanding of, yeah, okay, people didn't show up. Yeah, people said it was going to show up. And then these are the same people you got to see in school or church or whatever the case might be. How have you been able to deal with those emotions as you come through, you know, your teen years?
A lot of my friends know that I'm straight up and I'm real with them. I get it from her right here that for these past couple of years, like, I will keep it nothing but 100 with you. Like, and I will tell you the truth, and I'll be like, how you didn't show up, and like, I did this for you and you couldn't do not one thing for me. I'm like, you know how that makes me feel. And then I was like, okay, so how you gonna feel if I don't show up to something that's really important to you, and then you feel pressed about it, and then you come to me like, where was you at? Da, 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 da. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Where was you at last Sunday?
Yeah,
and
so
you didn't bother to
kinda-
tell me. Like, I don't get mad at it, because I know at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not holding on to it anymore. But I'll tell you straight up how I felt. But I'll be like, but I'm good now. I just moved on from it. But I'll tell you, be like, yo, this ain't cool how you just did, how you say you was gonna show up and you didn't show up. And then you expect me to show up for all your other things and you couldn't show up for one thing. And a lot of my friends, and it got to a point where some people just like stopped talking to me because I was too real with them. And I was like, well, I'm sorry that I have to give you the dose of reality. I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. I'm not going to let you live in this fantasy where you think everything is going to go your way and you can't bother to do the same thing that I do for you. I'm like, it is what it is. And most of them know that, and most of my close friends that know how I am when it comes to like serious stuff like this, they will try their hardest, but I know most of them are really busy. So I'll still ask them, but in my mind, I kind of already would know. I'll be like, they probably don't got the time for it, but I'm going to still ask because you never know, they might show up or not. Yeah. And I kind of just, I don't get my hopes up. I kind of just dole down on it. I'm like, if you're going to show up, you show up. If you don't show up, then you don't show up. If you at least tell me that you're not going to be able to make it because of said situation, then do that. Just don't not say nothing to me and not show up. And I'm asking you where you at, and you like, oh yeah, my bad, I'm not coming. I'm like, well, you could have told me this like days beforehand instead of the day of. So I just keep it real with them. And I'm like, if they got a problem with me being too real with them, then it is what it is. I'm like, it is what it is.
Keontae, stay real. Because that's what's going to grow you. And that's what's something that you can like take to the bank. Invest it in your heart and your mind. So stay that way. Stay that way. Mom?
Getting a question?
Same question. And that's growth pattern through the successes and the failures. Give me your mindset and the things that you've gone through, because like I say, you know, you're the mom,
Right.
you the COO, and you always got to do extra.
Right.
So, you know, tell me, give me some of your views on what has been said based on successes and failures of Keychain Carnival.
I would say some of the things at the beginning of this, and also especially in the part where we was brainstorming on putting the book together, it was mentioned to me by my aunt that we should do this because other kids need to know math in a fun way to get them more involved, class participation or whatnot. And going through that process, yes, I would hear that voice and say, go back to work. You know, this ain't gonna amount to anything. It's a long shot. And then I've had some people who will verbally say some things, you know, to me. I don't think this worth your time to put in to do all of this. You're not gonna get your worth out of this. And when I heard those things verbally in person, that just lets me know that I had something. And I already knew I had it because God was the one that gave it to me in the first place. He's not going to give anyone anything that's not going to prosper and benefit the community as a whole. So what they said to me didn't mean it. I was like, whatever. Or I let it roll off because I know who spoke to me and told me what to do when I was sitting at that desk. So in the midst of that journey, like Keontae said, putting on workshop or having the prep day, things of that nature for people to come out to participate, yeah, it got a little disappointing for the no-shows. But I internalized to say to myself, it's okay. I'm going to keep doing what he have me to do and eventually learn how to not take it personal when somebody don't show or they don't communicate and say they can't come, but then they ask you, can you do this? Can you go here? Can you be here? I need this. And I still would do it. So I had to internalize, hey, okay, I got to back off. I got to push back. No, I need you to do that yourself. I need you to go there and do that yourself. You got to, and I don't think that's negative, is me showing love, because if I keep doing, they will never learn. If I have somebody keep doing for me, I will never be exposed to what I need to know. And that right there was a disappointment, but I moved it to the side and say, hey, it's not personal. I just keep it moving, keep doing what I'm supposed to do. And when there was no shows or no signups for our workshop, push that to the side. The next day, I moved on to something else. I created this, I created that. I got this design together. I implemented new ideas how we can help kids in the community in different areas, whether it's regular school district, special school district. My creativity kicked in regardless of what didn't happen the day before. Mm-hmm. So having that, pushing forward on the book, as someone told me, is not worth your time. Re-released it on June 19, 2019. We became an LLC in 2019. I'm steady elevating us for Keychain Carnival, because that very next day I stopped was the day of our blessing. So I would never stop. The only day I stop is the day that I'm not breathing.
Mm.
Yes.
I like that. See, that puts me in the mindset of thinking about the no syndrome. Like when somebody told me no once, twice, three times, it made me more energized and it made me more creative. You know, because I was thinking like, you tell me no, yeah, my feelings hurt and all that, but then I wake up the next day and I got that camera in my hand. Next thing you know, I'm walking around taking pictures because, like I say, that's my passion before is my pay. My passion before my pay. So I just say, to that is like from where Keontae is at his age, peer pressure and the things that he has to deal with, as well as where you are at, peer pressure and getting all the, oh yeah, I'm coming, and then you don't come, and then all that. So you get into a real head space. And a lot of times, we're human. So we're going to go through the ups and downs of the feeling how that angst of your family and your friends not really supporting you. But at the same time, I've saw your work. I've seen y'all determination. I've seen your fortitude. And I'm really, really appreciate that because it inspires me. Because, I wouldn't have done a podcast. Because first it was just doing a broadcast. And then I said, okay, I'll just stick with that. But I said, no. After I'm going to be honest, after you all's broadcast that I had on last year, it was right after that, maybe a couple of more after that, I started thinking differently about a podcast. So here I am.
Right. Here
You
you
know?
are.
So I just want to thank you guys for the inspiration. So I want to ask you all, what advice would you give upcoming families? Because I don't want to go into if it's just a mom, son, or if it's a father, son, or father, daughter, or, what advice would you give families who are upcoming and ready to start a business?
The advice that I would give to family is look at what your kids are doing. What are they pushing towards more so at home? What is that hobby that they just keep going back to doing? And then take that and nurture it. And then they all sit around and talk about it. Say, hey, how about we take your hobby, what you're passionate about, and let's do a little business. Do out a structure. But you have to have balance between mom, dad, parent and child, entrepreneurship, being a kid. You have different roles. You have to be a mom, you have to be a mom boss. So you have to find that balance between the two. When you see your kid getting a little frustrated, back off, let them be a kid and put that to the side. When they are rested and they come back to it, then you go back. So basically, you got to follow the flow of the kid. And that's one of the things that I had to learn with Keontae. When he would speak and say, Mom, I'm tired, I'm burnt out, I want to stop. So when I hear that, okay, let me just take you off, say 6 months, 4 months, give you a break. We don't do that much often. I won't put you on vendor activities, things of that nature, to give you a break. I had to learn that. But in the midst of him having a break, I'm still working, trying to put things together and learn what it is to make that business be successful. So family orientation, find your niche of what your kids are doing, that structure, lay out that calendar, how often you're going to have them participate in things. Some people only for the summer. My kids are off limit during the school year, and that's perfectly fine. Unless that kid, as they get up in age, Mom, I want to do once a month or one thing every quarter during the school year, and then we'll work full time in the summer. So it all depends. You have to have that balance. But pay attention to what your kid is doing, what they're gifted at, and what their hobbies is. And if the kid come to you with that interest, support them and back them.
Great advice. Great advice. Um, I want to ask that of Keontae as well, because even when you're in them burnt out moments, or you're figuring out that you're still that CEO, that can be erased. So how do you have in a mindset that you say, first of all, I'm gonna keep going, but then also, especially because I want you to always divide from the mom, from the son, but from the elder to the youth. So how do you speak to youth and give them advice and say, hey, you know what, this can be done, but yeah, I do get burnt out, but I'm a CEO. Ain't too many people able to say that at your age.
Most of the advice I say is time. You got to dedicate your time to a lot of things. Because, I mean, being a kid, you're going to want to live a kid life. See, that was different for me. I got thrown into the business world a lot earlier than expected. So I really didn't have like what a normal childhood would be like, you know, having fun with your friends, going outside, all that type of deal, and not worried about business and responsibilities and all that junk. But I had to worry about it, so I had to grow up a lot faster than everybody else. So that kind of what separated me from everybody else was the fact that, like, I know what I'm talking about, and cause I'm a smart kid. I was always a smart kid. It was just the fact that, like, I couldn't learn along with everybody. Like, I had to always be ahead, and I didn't like that because I want to learn with everybody else. Because if I learn with them, then it just makes the experience a lot more fun. Instead of like being the smart aleck know-it-all, and then everybody look at you and you're just like, oh, he's just smart. He's just using his smart da 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 da. And I'm like, no, this is just how I've been raised. Like, I didn't choose this. This is just like, yeah, I'm forced to do my homework a week before it's actually due. So I technically don't have homework. No, there was times I was getting homework weeks before it was even due, just to do it, just so I could get prepped, just so the teacher can give me the next week assignment. I was like, what? I was like, why can't I just do it along with my classmates? I'm like, what harm is that gonna do? And the advice, I mean, just in general, just advice that I give any youth entrepreneur is just like time and know what you want to do. This is your business. You choose what you want to do. So if you want to take a break if you need to take a break. Don't take a break because you're just like, oh, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing it anymore. Like, no, take a break if you actually need to take a break. Because I know for me, there was points where I just absolutely wanted to just completely drop this. There was times where I really just didn't want to do it anymore. Because I was like, I'm not living a normal life because I'm so busy with doing this that I barely have time to do anything else with friends. Like, the times when my friends would be like, hey, we're doing this on the weekend. I'm like, I can't even do that because I got an event. I want to go skating. I want to stand for hours and talk to people and get them to buy some keychains to put on some car keys. That's how I was. I really was like, I want to hang out with friends. I want to have fun. Mm-hmm. But then the fact that I couldn't do that because I'm a whole CEO, I was like, there's really no point. There's really no time for me to actually try to have fun. Because I'm too busy trying to do business. And I'm like, man, I'm 15 years old. What am I doing running a business? I'm not 25. Like, I don't have time on my hands like that. Like,
well, you know what? Let me cut through the chase. And I'm going to be straight up with you. It ain't a lot of young men 18 years old who doing what you're doing. So I'm glad you expressing it the way you are, because that'll give them an understanding of when you have the cake, you can cut it up in how many slices you want. Mm-hmm. And you can invite anybody to your party that you want. But what you got to realize now, and even as you going forward, because you're 18, think about when you're 22 and you still want to go out and kick it and party and do everything that your friends are doing. But mind you, you're still the CEO. Mind you, you're an artist. Mind you, you got all these things going on that they don't. Because if they only stepping into one lane, you got 3 lanes.
Yeah,
You like in California, man. You all over the lane.
yeah, that's the
you
thing.
know?
I multitask on a lot of things. Like I do so many things, and that's where it got to the point where like I would tell her that I was like, I don't want to do this no more. And she was like, what you mean? I'm like, I have so many other things that I could be doing. I'm like, there's so many other things that I could be doing. I'm like, besides sitting here at the table making kits, I could like relearn how to play piano again. I could be outside learning how to do new tricks on a skateboard just so I can know what I'm doing. I could be practicing on free skates. I could be doing something totally new. Like I bought a yo-yo recently just because I wanted to learn how to do yo-yo tricks. Because I couldn't do it as a kid.
Well,
So I had to let her know. I was like, I'm not giving this up. It's just like, yo, I need a break. Like, that's like Keychain Carnival is technically my child. Just as I'm her child, she need a break from me. I need a break from this. So
well, yeah, we do. We understand that. We all need breaks. Trust me, I did that. Well, we're going to do this. We only got a few more minutes left. But what I do want to find out through Mom is the growth pattern from Genesis to where you are now with Keychain Carnival and how this started to take place. And mind you, we do have a few minutes.
Okay.
So just give us a little bit of that, and then we want to find out exactly where Keychain Carnival is sold, all the platforms, all the social medias, everything that you got going on like that, and just put it within about 5 minutes.
Okay. So as Marvin said, Keychain Carnival, the timeline, and this is the timeline that I recognized one day that God had put in place.
Wait a minute. Keontae.
Keontae?
Yeah, you're the one that came up with time.
Right.
Okay.
But prior to him, my field was business and IT. Then the next interest was adult education. Had I not entered into adult education, that wouldn't have landed me to Job Corps being a GED teacher and a math instructor. So this was all put in place, and I realized God put this in place because I was the GED instructor first. Then he provided me with Keontae. Then I was placed in the math class to be creative and create this project. Then he sent Keontae in to witness this and say, hey, I want to do keychains too. And we brainstormed, since he was a kid, we needed something unique. Keychain Carnival, Carnival spelled with the K, kid friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, we doing this local events. We ran into Ariel, which Keontae and her son went to school together. She just started Young Biz Kids and said Keontae should be a part of it because she knew he was already doing entrepreneur stuff. So we joined at the Young Biz Kids organization. This is all this timeline, right? So I recognize God place and his movement for every aspect. We met her at school. We met her later to say, I started this entrepreneur program. He put all these people in place that generated Keychain Carnival to where we are now today. So Young Biz Kids been in that program for about 7 years, getting coaches, mentors, work study classes on the weekend, pulling me in as a mother to learn about the business aspect as well, educating myself. So now both of us is being educated. Yeah, that's why I had that business degree. It's coming back up. Now you're going to put this into this business. Your IT skills going to help you know how to create and navigate those applications to create marketing materials, to create new avenues for math and arts at the same time. Okay. God put all this in place. So he has created a whole business village for us. That even though Keontae goes off to college and he's going to do his own thing because I don't expect him to be with Keychain Carnival forever. I told him, you're going to do greater things than Keychain Carnival. And I do believe he's going to go and work for somebody after college. I say, I expect you to do that so you can get your hands on skill in your field of arts. But mind you, I know you're not going to stay there. You already have the foundation from Keychain Carnival to being a CEO. You're going to branch off and continue to be your CEO in other aspects. But you learn your craft, go work for somebody in your field, and then you branch off and do your own. So you still have this village of entrepreneurs. When you make that move after college, you have everybody numbers say, hey, I'm starting this. I need you all to help me as you did in Keychain Carnival. So your village is already there.
Yeah. Okay, well, we about ready to wrap up. So give us all the plugs. Give us everything that we need to know how to go and get books, hats, T-shirts, everything from Keychain Carnival.
Can I tell you? Let it happen.
See. So our social platforms is on Facebook and Instagram, which is Keychain Carnival with the K. And then also the website, www.keychaincarnival.com, which we just got up and running just a couple months ago. Okay. So we should be having some more stuff that's be releasing on there. We're going to have a buttload of releases of apparel, hats, shirts, all of that on the website.
Okay.
And also, you can follow us on our YouTube channel, Keychain Carnival. Subscribe, like, and share. We have videos out there, kid-friendly, and journeys of Keontae doing other things, and me also giving shout-outs to some of the coaches and mentors.
All right, all right. Well, there you have it. This is the 4th episode of Digesting Black History 365 podcast. And I want to thank you guys. So once again, like, share, and subscribe to us. Your history, my history, the world's history is Black history. So I want to tell you guys, thank you again. God bless you. Be blessed, be better, be safe, and be proven, period. Till next time, God bless you. Later.